This culture is not anything new. It's not anything recent. It's not anything that just came about. This culture is something that has been part of human history for at least 12,000 years. And I'm just talking about what we can prove through science and through archaeology. We can trace the human interaction with the cannabis plant at least 12,000 years through archaeological evidence. And this plant has some remarkable properties. This plant has been able to co-evolve with the human race such that we have cannabinoid receptors which respond to the phytocannabinoids found in the plant. These supplement our own natural endocannabinoids that we all have in our body. So if, as the federal government would have you believe, cannabinoids are some dangerous Schedule I substance, then each of us is a felon by virtue of being a human being, by virtue of being a conscious mammal. We all carry these endocannabinoids around in our system all the time. That's the reason marijuana works in the unique way that it does. And that's the reason that it works all over our bodies. That's the reason it addresses so many human symptoms. We have these cannabinoid receptors all over our bodies. All mammals do, and we think all animals do. These cannabinoid receptors, of course, are concentrated in our brains, and we're all familiar with the positive effects that cannabis has when we use it upon our consciousness and upon our thinking. Cannabis is so good for our brains. In fact, don't let anybody ever tell you that cannabis is bad for your brain. It's so good for your brain that it protects your brain cells from the toxins in your environment. It protects your brain cells if you choose to use alcohol. If you drink, I would advise you to smoke cannabis heavily first, and it actually protects your brain cells from the alcohol. Cannabis does other great things for human beings. It helps you to fight off inflammation. It helps you, therefore, to fight off pain. It shrinks tumors. That includes cancer tumors. That means, yes, that cannabis can make cancer go away. Brothers and sisters, I've seen it happen. I've seen cancer patients who were scheduled to die. They're still living today. They're healthy. They're happy. And this is because they did full extract cannabis oil. You may have heard it called Rick Simpson oil. Well, I've seen this stuff work on human beings. There's a reason it works, because it fights the inflammation and the cancer at the source. And that is the reason that Big Pharma is so scared of this stuff. That's the reason that they see it as a threat to their big corporate profits. Now, Big Pharma sees something that people can grow in their closet or in their backyard, and they can take this plant and they can make an oil that fights cancer. Now, that is a direct threat to corporate profits. They want you to be dependent upon them for your medicine. When you're able to grow something in your closet or in your backyard that's going to be your medicine, suddenly you become a blip on corporate people's radar, because at that point you're a threat to their profits. They never really took any notice of your existence until you became this threat to their profits. And now suddenly there's a cannabis problem, quote unquote. Suddenly they're all concerned about this. In Arizona, where they got a legalization initiative on the ballot, and this is just one tiny example for you this evening, we have a company that manufactures opioid painkillers for cancer patients, and they donate $500,000 to fight against legalization in Arizona. Now, whether that initiative in Arizona is the best initiative in the world or not is open for debate. That's an imperfect initiative to have in Arizona, but the fact remains that you can see where people's hearts are at. You can see where corporate intentions are at when they spend $500,000 to fight a legalization initiative. They see cannabis as a threat to their corporate profits. What they would like to do is to enfold cannabis within a system of corporate profits, and that's what you got to be wary of. Things aren't as simple as they seem sometimes, brothers and sisters. Legalization is a good thing, and taking away laws against cannabis is a very good thing. But remember, there are people who stand to make lots of money from legal cannabis. And corporations, since they are such a powerful force in American politics and in the American economy and in any capitalist economy, inevitably, through the way that capitalism works, corporations are going to be very powerful. They're going to have the most money, and they're going to try to take over the cannabis market. We've already seen this at work in my home state of Washington. You guys so far are doing a good job down here in Oregon. Your legalization includes home growth. Well, ours in Washington state, believe it or not, doesn't. We have the only legalization initiative in the United States that doesn't include home grow. So we have to basically, unless you're a medical marijuana patient, you have to go to the I-502 store to get your legal cannabis.
they have a lockdown on growing legal cannabis. You have to have a state license, which costs quite a bit of money to get before you can grow that I-502 weed. That's not the way it needs to be. Cannabis is for everyone. It's not just for a select few. It's not for an elite. It's not just for a few corporate guys who have the money to jump through the hoops and to get the licenses. Every adult human being, by your birthright, should be able to grow cannabis. Cannabis is your heritage as a human being. All the way back, you can trace this back into the cavemen, where they threw the whole plant on the fire, they smoked the cave up, they got high, they had a party right there in the cave. This is your great-great-great-great-grandparents I'm talking about. This plant is a part of human history for so long that it has become a part of our very body system, this endocannabinoid system that keeps us balanced and healthy and sane. Now, it's important for you to not let anybody, any government, any corporation, any authority come between you and the direct relationship we have with this wonderful plant. I would encourage each of you to learn as much as you can about this plant, and there are ways you can do that. You can check out my website, tokesignals.com. You can check out my book, The Little Black Book of Marijuana, which in just 20,000 words traces this cult evolution of the human species and the cannabis plant. It's a wonderful thing when plants can communicate with people, because brothers and sisters, they have a lot to teach us. I would encourage you to listen to the cannabis plant when it talks to you. I would encourage you to learn when it changes your consciousness, because this is important stuff. It has the potential to change the way humans interact with nature. It has the potential to change the way human beings interact with each other. I'm telling you that this plant can make us more human if we use it correctly. This plant can make us more loving and more empathetic. This plant can make us understand each other and the world and the cosmos better if we use it correctly. I'm telling you, this is important stuff for us all to learn and continue learning as the human species continues in this wonderful 12,000-year coevolution we have with this wonderful plant. I would encourage you to learn all you can about it. Knowledge is power, brothers and sisters, and you have powerful corporate interests with lots of money coming up against you. The only way to battle that money and that power represented by the corporations is to know as much as you can about human beings and the cannabis plant and the way we have interacted to mutual benefit for us both for all these years. Thank you much, brothers and sisters.